And Yahweh said to me, proclaim all these words in the cities of Yehuda and in the streets of Jerusalem, saying, hear the words of this covenant and do them. That was the problem. These are people that all claimed covenant but weren't doing. We have a lot of people today out there claiming covenant, aren't doing. Some of them are in the mainstream churches. Some of them are in the Messianic body. They claim covenant, but they're not doing. You know, it says about the servant who is found so doing. Okay? And he says, look, he says, proclaim all these words, hear the words of this covenant, and do them. Verse 7, for I earnestly warned your fathers in the day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt, until this day, rising early and warning and saying, obey my voice. Now, people out there get all upset with me and they say, oh, all you talk about is do, and all these works. I'm just reading you what the creator of the universe has said. What is he upset about here? Obedience, or the lack thereof. He's the one that's all he talks about. The whole covenant is based on obey my voice. Okay, obedience, not, just undeserved pardon and we just, get to do whatever because the Messiah did it all for us. And so where's obedience being taught? Whereas in the mainstream churches are they teaching that obedience is everything? How do I know it's everything? Because that's what Yahweh's saying right here. The covenant was a very simple one. Obedience, and then you receive blessing. Obedience. He said, look, I earnestly warned your fathers and saying, look, and he says, rising early and warning. So he's not talking about himself. He sent prophets. He sent messengers who would come early and warn them, please, they would plead with them, they would beg them, please obey the creator of the universe. Obey the covenant that you made with him. He says, I earnestly warned them. But verse 8, he says, but they did not obey or incline their ear, but everyone walked in the stubbornness of his evil heart. Now again, this is maybe the 15th time we brought this up in just a few chapters of Jeremiah. And it's not only in Jeremiah that you read this. You read this in Isaiah. You read this in all of the places once they came out of Egypt where they had stiff-necked and refused to listen. This is in the first 5 books as well. You read this in the rest of Exodus. You read this in Numbers. You read it in Leviticus. You read it in Deuteronomy. We see example after example of them just not inclining their ears. See, that's the key. Your active participation in this is that you must incline your ear. That's not what Christianity wants to teach you, though. They want to teach you that it's all just going to be handed to you on a silver platter and done for you, etc. You don't really have to do anything. Well, here he's saying, look, they didn't obey. That was their part in it. And they didn't incline their ear. So he gave them ears to hear, but they chose not to listen. That's the difference. That's where you really get in trouble. The people who don't have ears to hear are not in the same trouble as those who have ears to hear and choose not to. He says they refused to obey. They didn't incline the ear, but everyone did what? They walked in the stubbornness of his evil heart. See, the heart of man, by default, is at enmity, is an enemy of the Creator. And so in our stubbornness, and people think, what does that mean, stubbornness? Well, when you're thinking, but I don't like that. But I don't want to do that. Well, why do I have to do that? Well, that's not fair. I mean, do I really need to do that? But I don't like wearing those things on my clothes. I don't like that, but I love shrimp. But I love, all of that is the stubborn heart trying to find reason to do what you want versus what he says. So the stubbornness is when you then, this is what it looks like. It's not just the I, but it's then you trying to twist and bend the scripture to justify that it's correct to do the I. Because that's what you hear as a theme throughout Yirmiyahu and Isaiah and other places, is that people then brought onto themselves priests and prophets that would tickle their ears, and by tickling their ears, telling them, yes, it's okay in the Creator's eyes. Yahweh will be just fine with you worshiping him this way. And Yahweh's like, but I never said that. That's why you need to obey my voice, not these other people's voices that are appealing to your stubborn heart.